Welcome back to Authentically Parenting. This summer, if you're tired of playing referee, this video is for you. Because sibling fighting can make even the most conscious parent lose their minds sometimes. One child is crying, one child is yelling, and someone's accusing somebody to taking something, right? And somehow you are expected to become a detective, a judge, a therapist, and a hostage negotiator before lunch. And if you're anything like I used to be, you walk into the room already frustrated. Who started it? Give it back. How many times have I told you? And before you know it, the sibling fight has become a family fight. Can anyone relate? The truth is, most sibling fights are not actually about the toy. They're not about the snack. They're not even about the, whose turn it is. Most sibling fights are nervous system colliding. Kids are tired, overstimulated, bored, needing connection, needing space. Then somebody breathes wrong, and suddenly World War III breaks out in your living room. So today I'm going to walk you through 7 most simple things to do before, during, and after sibling fights. Because most parents only focus on what to do in the middle of the fight. But if you know what to do before the fight starts, how to respond during the fight, and what to do afterward, everything gets so much more easier. Never gonna be perfect, just easier. And honestly, that's what we're aiming for anyways, right? And before we jump in, I want to welcome you to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jahanvi Shah. I'm a conscious parenting coach and a founder of Authentically Parenting, where we really blend emotional intelligence, nervous system science, and practical parenting tools to help you raise emotionally healthy kids without sacrificing yourself in the process. If that's your kind of parenting, make sure you hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because I post a new video every week, and the more interaction there is on these videos, it reaches out to more parents who are really needing to hear this. So I really appreciate your help in this. And this video is actually a part of our summer parenting series. Last week, we talked about how to make summer feel less chaotic with kids. If you missed that video, I highly recommend going back and watching it after this one, because a lot of sibling conflict actually starts long before the fight. It starts with overstimulation, boredom. It starts with too much screen time. It starts with lack of structure. Also starts with emotional overload. And all of that makes sibling fighting worse. So I will leave that video link below. Grab it after you finish watching this. Now, let's talk about what actually helps. And I promise I'm going to keep this practical, all right? All right, so one of the biggest mistakes parents make is waiting until kids are fighting to work on the sibling relationship. By then, what is happening? We're already in damage control mode. The best time to work on sibling conflict is before the conflict happens. Let me tell you something I noticed with my own kids. Whenever life gets busy and we haven't had much one-on-one connection, sibling conflict goes up. Not always, but enough that I have stopped calling it a coincidence. Sometimes what looks like sibling rivalry is really, Mom noticed me, Dad pay attention to me, I need connection, I need reassurance, I need to know I still matter. And kids don't usually say that. They don't even realize that's what's happening within them. Instead, they poke their brother, or they take their sister's toy, or they argue over who got the bigger cookie. Because connection-seeking behavior doesn't always look like connection-seeking behavior. Sometimes it looks like annoyance. And one of the biggest things you can do is spend 10 or 15 minutes of one-on-one time with each child whenever possible. Daily, if you can add it, if you could just add it into your schedule. At least weekly, if you can. Nothing fancy, no pin interest activity, no elaborate setup. Just read together, play a game, go for a walk, sit and talk, right? What matters isn't what you do. What matters is that your child feels seen. And again, this has to be one-on-one, okay? And here is what I want you to hear. This is not another thing to add on to your already overwhelming to-do list. this is truly prevention. It's often easier to spend 10 minutes connecting than to spend an hour breaking up a fight, isn't it? And if your kids have been fighting constantly lately, please start here. Not because it's magic, but because connection really makes everything else work so much more better and smoother. So definitely give it a go. Another thing, really watching the build-up. Most siblings don't come out of nowhere. They usually leave clues. Like, if you're ever noticed, your kids are perfectly fine all morning, and then suddenly around dinner time, somebody takes somebody's seat, or look at somebody's snack, or breathes too loudly, and now everyone is melting down. The seat was not really the problem. The snack was not really the problem. The nervous system were already overloaded. And this is especially true during summer, right? Think about what summer brings. More togetherness, more screen time, less structure, more boredom, more heat, maybe more transitions, less personal space. It's actually a lot if you think about it. And when kids don't have these skills yet to say, hey, I'm overwhelmed, hey, I'm tired, I need space, what happens is their nervous systems often say it for them through behavior, including sibling fight. One thing I've noticed with my kiddos over the years is that when they've been together all day, haven't moved their bodies much, and have had a little too much screen time, the smallest thing can become a huge thing. Suddenly we're having a 10-minute argument over whose turn it is to push a button. And honestly, the button isn't the issue, the nervous system is. So instead of only reacting to fights, start looking for patterns. Ask yourself, when do the fights usually happen? Is it before dinner, after screen time, during long car rides, when they're tired, when they're bored, when they're competing for your attention? Because when we start noticing the buildup, we can often prevent the explosion. Sometimes the solution isn't another parenting strategy. Sometimes it's, let's go out. Let's take a break. Let's have quiet time. Let's separate for a while, right? Those small adjustments can make a huge difference. When you notice that buildup, you're more aware of, okay, this is the root cause. Fight is just the symptom of it, right? Here's number 3. Stop being the judge, become the coach. This was one of the hardest lessons for me to learn, because when I heard my kids fighting, I immediately wanted answer. Who started it? Who took it? Who hit who? Who's telling the truth? You know, I wanted to solve the mystery, but here's what I eventually realized. By the time I walk into the room, I usually don't know the whole story, right? I don't know what happened 5 minutes ago. I don't know what happened an hour ago. I don't know what happened yesterday, right? Simple relationships are long. It's complicated. It's messy. And to be honest, if you're not careful, we can accidentally create a victim and a villain, isn't it? One child always becomes the difficult one, aggressive one, troublemaker. And the other becomes the innocent one, the victim, the good one. But sibling relationships are rarely that simple. So instead of walking in like a judge, try walking in like a coach. Instead of who started it, try what's going on here. Wow, you guys are really having a hard time. Tell me what happened. Right? Notice the difference, right? One approach creates defensiveness. When you start out with who did it, who started it, there is like immediate defense. That happens to us adults too, right? The one approach creates defensiveness and the other creates connection. Because my first goal is not figuring out who is right. My first goal is helping everyone calm down enough to think again. And once kids feel heard, they're much more willing to listen. Number 4, regulate yourself first. I'm sure I'm saying this like a broken record, right? The hardest person in the sibling conflict is us. Because sometimes we're the most dysregulated person in the room, honestly speaking, right? I have absolutely had moments where I heard fighting from another room and I started yelling before I even got there. I wasn't calm. I wasn't regulated. I wasn't coaching. I wasn't the leader of my family in those moments. I was reacting. And the truth is, when we bring big energy into a big situation, then everything gets bigger. The yelling gets louder. The crying gets louder. The conflict lasts so much longer. Okay, so before you step in, try this. Take one breath, drop your shoulders, lower your voice, slow your feet. Literally, you walking towards it slowly, it gives your nervous system a signal nothing is dangerous happening. So intentionally, slow your feet and remind yourself, this is not an emergency. Literally say that to yourself. This is not an emergency, because most sibling conflicts aren't emergencies. Most, right? They are simply opportunities to practice skills. Now, obviously, if somebody is getting hurt, step in immediately, of course, right? We are not then slowing down. There is sort of an emergency, right? Safety always comes first. But most sibling conflicts are not usually emergencies. They're children just struggling with emotions. And when we bring calm energy into the room, we are giving their nervous system something to borrow. Your calm doesn't guarantee they will calm down instantly, but it absolutely 100% helps. Okay. Here is number 5. Separate first, teach later. This might be the most useful thing I shared today, to be honest, I feel, because if your kids are screaming, pushing, hitting, threatening, or completely losing it, that is not the moment for a lesson. It's not the moment for use your words, be nice, share, say sorry. Nobody's listening nor learning anything in those moments, at that exact moment. Because when emotions are high, learning goes down. So instead of trying to teach in the middle of the storm, focus on safety. Separate first, teach later. You can simply say, I can see everybody's upset. We are going to take some space. That's it. No lecture, no 15-minute speech, no trying to solve the entire sibling relationship in one moment. Just space, just safety, just calm. And there's a part many parents need to hear. Separating is not punishment, it's regulation. And of course, it depends on from what energy you're doing it, of course, right? But it's really, if you're doing it with the calmness as a leader of your family, it's giving everyone a chance to settle before trying to solve a problem, right? Think about yourself, and you're really upset. Do you do your best thinking? Probably not. Neither do our children. Here is number 6. And this is after the fight. Can we talk about apologies for a minute? Because many of us grew up hearing, say sorry now. And what usually happens, a child looks away and mumbles sorry through clenched teeth. Technically, yeah, they apologized. But did they actually repair anything? Not really. Because repair and apology aren't the same thing. Repair comes after regulation. Repair comes after understanding. Repair comes after everyone feels calmer. So instead of asking, did you say sorry? Try asking, what can we do to make this better? Maybe it's helping rebuild the Lego tower. Maybe it's getting an ice pack. Maybe it's giving space. Maybe it's trying again. Let's try this again. How can we do things differently? Maybe it is genuine apology. Right now we are teaching responsibility. Now we are teaching empathy. Now we are teaching relationship skills. And that's what we are after, isn't it? But I think the approach from the get-go we go in with, it just ruins what we're trying to teach. It doesn't land the way we want it to land. Here's number 7. Here is where I think parents accidentally overwhelm themselves. they think every sibling fight needs a big lesson. It doesn't. You don't need a family summit meeting after every disagreement. You don't need a 45-minute conversation. You just need one skill. One. Maybe today it's, I need space. Maybe tomorrow it's, can I have a turn when you're done? Maybe next week it's, I don't like that. Maybe it's, please stop. Right? Small skill, practice repeatedly becomes such a huge life skills. And that's really what we're doing here. We're not trying to raise children who never fight. That's not realistic. Right? That family does not exist. If you know one, please tell me. Right? We are really trying to raise children who know how to move through conflict. Conflicts are part of life. We have different opinions, right? Whether it's with our parents, with our children, with our spouse, friends, colleague, anyone, there are going to be conflicts in life. And this, how to resolve conflict, that starts within the family, especially between siblings. And we are the coaches to teach them how to navigate those conflicts. I mean, this is perfect time while they're still under your roof to teach these skills. So I know as much as I dread the sibling conflicts, I also see an opportunity as teaching these, these skills, right? We are trying to raise children who know how to move through these conflicts, because one day they will have friendships, roommates, co-workers, spouses, children of their own, right? So conflict is part of life. And the goal is not to avoid conflict. The goal is learning how to handle it well. And every sibling disagreement becomes an opportunity to practice, as I said. It's not perfectly, but progressively. Before we wrap up, I want to give you a little reality check. If you've been handling sibling fights one way for years and your kids have been handling sibling fights one way for years, don't expect everything to change overnight. I mean, think about it. If every sibling conflict has always looked like yelling, blaming, punishing, defending, arguing, and suddenly you're trying something new, your children are going to need time to adjust. In fact, you may even want to tell them, hey guys, I learned a new way. I want us to handle sibling conflicts in our family. And then practice together, because this isn't about finding the perfect parenting script. It's about creating a new culture around conflict. A culture where people feel heard. A culture where people calm down before they solve problems. A culture where mistakes become opportunity to learn. Will there still be fights? Absolutely. Will there be hard days? Of course. But over time, your children begin learning something incredibly valuable. How to disagree without destroying the relationship. And that's a huge skill many adults are still trying to learn, honestly. If you take one thing away from today's video, let it be this. Mom and Dad, your job is not to stop every sibling fight. Your job is not to create children who never argue. And your job is definitely not to become a full-time referee. Your job is to teach your children how to move through conflict, how to repair, how to communicate, how to regulate, how to stay connected even when they disagree. And honestly, that's deep work. It's the kind of work that impacts friendships, marriages, future parenting, and every relationship they will ever have. Because one day, they won't be arguing over a toy. They will be navigating disagreements with roommate, co-workers, partners, and eventually their own children. And the skill they are practicing now matter. So, if sibling fighting has been driving you bananas, I want you to know this. Please know this. You are not failing. Your children are not failing. You're learning and they're learning. And every time you choose coaching over judging, every time you choose connection over punishment, every time you slow down instead of escalating, you're really moving your family in the right direction. Think about it. And that's something to be proud of. Now, If this video was helpful, let me know in the comments. What sibling conflict happens most often in your house? I really want to know. Is it fighting over toys, screens, personal space? Who is right? Who is wrong? Tell me below. I read every comment. And if you're starting to realize that parenting isn't just about changing your child's behavior, it's also about understanding your own triggers, staying regulated in those hard moments, and creating deeper connection. That's exactly the kind of work we'll be doing inside my Alive Parenting method. Over the next few weeks, I'll be sharing more about it because this approach goes far beyond sibling conflict. It changes the way we show up in all of our relationship. And next week, guys, in our summer parenting series, we're talking about something I think almost every parent is feeling right now. 5 things making parenting feel so exhausting right now and what to do about it. Because sometimes you're not doing anything wrong. You're simply carrying too much, too many decisions, too many responsibilities, too many emotions, too many people needing you all day long. So if that sounds familiar, make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss it. Like I said, if you subscribe, if you like, if you comment, it really goes out to more people. That's just how algorithm works. So if this video resonated with you and you felt like you got a good value out of it, it's my humble request to subscribe, like, share, comment. I would love to hear from you. And of course, you can put down in the comment any topics that you're needing help with in your parenting. Jot it down in the comment. I'll be happy to do a video next one. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week.